Good morning to all and welcome to the session, the Hindu Editorial Analysis for Proficiency in English. Today's editorial is all about Cheetah, the project Cheetah, and the editorial opines we should not judge quickly and we have to spend some time before giving the judgment. We have to analyze, and after some time only we can judge whether the project has been successful or not successful. So, in a way, it says the judgment is too quick and not a good idea to judge immediately. We will have to wait for some time to decide whether it is the right decision or wrong decision. This is an important editorial because it deals with, in a way, environment. Today, when we talk about environment, we talk about extinction of species, endangered species, and efforts conservation and preservation, and also reintroduction of certain species. So that way, it is an important editorial. You may get as a passage in prelims or in mains. So let us, before we go to the editorial vocabulary, am I audible? Before we go to the editorial vocabulary, today you're going to work on when it comes to practice questions based on exam topics. You are going to work on spot the errors, a bit challenging, para-jumble, that is also challenging, idioms, phrasal verbs, and word profile. Now let us go to the editorial vocabulary. Today's editorial is an important editorial. I would like to reiterate, and there are some important words. Let us start with the first word. What is the first word here? Snap. Snap, part of speech, adjective, based on the editorial. But today it is a word of the day. It can be a verb, it can be a noun, it can be an adjective. But the editorial starts with the two words, snap, judgment. So judgment is a noun. Based on that, here, snap is an adjective. So what does it mean? Thanks for responding. Done suddenly without allowing time for careful thought or preparation. You try to do something without spending some time, without allowing time for careful thought or preparation. And some people have said the project Cheetah has been failure. Based on that, the editorial says it is too early to judge whether the project has been successful or failure. Ambitious. Usually we use a noun form, ambition. Quick, that is also right. Ambition, noun, ambitious, adjective. I usually say you guys are ambitious youth. So it goes with you people. What does it mean? Ambitious as an adjective, having a strong wish to be successful, powerful, or rich. You have a goal and you want to come up in life, you want to get success, and you work very hard, you strive hard for that. Then we use the word ambitious. Implicit, I use this quite often when I talk about the passage. Bank exams usually they give a passage, SSC also, and implicit. When it comes to the passage, they ask questions based on implicit information, easy to answer, based on explicit information, difficult to answer. So implicit adjective, what does it mean? Usually it goes with information. Adjective, suggested but not communicated directly. If it is communicated directly, we use a word explicit. Adapt, an important word in the sense, though it is an easy word, it goes with confusing words. One word is adapt, the other word adopt. Adapt, part of speech verb, adopt also a verb. To change your ideas of behavior to make them suitable for a new situation. When you go to a new place, you try to get adjusted. Then we use adjusted, accustomed, to get used to, means to get adapted to. And adopt means to take one of the meanings. To take someone's child and make yours legally. Adopt. Endeavor, an important word, part of speech noun. It can be a verb as well. An attempt to do something, not the casual thing, but higher level. We got the word sustainable goals, remember? And means what? Whenever we talk about environment, we talk about sustainable goals. Using the resources wisely, keeping in mind the future generations, and sustain is a verb. To hold something for a long time, to cause or allow something to continue for a period of time. He could sustain their interest, means he could hold their interest. He could allow that to happen or continue for some time. Adopter, you can think of that word as well. Vijay Kumar. Precipitous, an important word. I would like to reiterate, whenever you come across a new word that is not easy, a bit difficult to remember, do spend some time after the session, then you'll be able to remember. By listening once, we cannot remember. So, precipitous is a word that you have to spend some time to remember. Adjective. If a reduction or increase is precipitous, it is fast or great. Imagine there's a sudden change when it comes to the number. Either the number has increased or the number has decreased, and that has happened very fast or to a great extent. Then we use the word precipitous. Cap has many meanings. It can be a noun, it can be a verb. As a noun, you all know cap. As a verb, it has many meanings based on the context. To put a limit on expenses or amounts charged, cap something, limit something, restrict something. Protract is also an important word, though it goes with measurements, calculations, part of speech verb. To make something last for a long time or last longer than necessary. Another meaning, protract. Here, protract means to extend, to drag, to make something last. Here, the pronunciation last, not last. Make something last for a long time or last longer than necessary. It means extend or prolong. Ferry, it goes with everyday English. To transport people or goods in a vehicle. Usually, if you take waterways, there we use the word ferry, a small boat that carries passengers from one bank, one side to the other side. Exemplary, an important word, part of speech adjective, very good and suitable to be copied by other people. Exemplary behavior, a typical combination, means what? Very good, ideal, and suitable to be copied by other people. Another important word today from today's editorial, consternation, part of speech noun, a feeling of worry, shock, or confusion. Because a few cheetahs have died, that has resulted in consternation. Means what? A feeling of worry, shock, or confusion. Vulnerable, whenever we talk about animals that are endangered, we use the word vulnerable. Vulnerable goes with people as well, and usually it goes with downtrodden people, underprivileged people, and also sometimes women. They are in a vulnerable position or situation. What does it mean? Able to be easily physically or mentally hurt, influenced, or attacked. Vulnerable situation means someone can easily exploit you or cause damage to you. Captivity. Again, when we talk about animals, we talk about when it comes to conservation efforts, preservation efforts, we use an expression like susceptible, also, you can say. Very good. Captive breeding, captivity. In captivity, the situation in which a person or animal is kept somewhere and is not allowed to leave, restricted, then we use the word captivity. Poaching. Again, when we talk about animals, we use the word poaching. Part of speech noun, poach is a verb form. The catching and killing of animals without permission on someone else's land. But actually, the meaning of poaching, to kill animals illegally. You kill animals illegally, then for the sake of the skin or shells or horns or nails, then we use the word poaching, an important word. And here, what happens whenever you come across a particular editorial, this editorial is related to Project Cheetah, and it talks about reintroducing cheetah, getting cheetah from the African continent and introducing in India, and it's a project. It is related to, in a way, environment. It is also related to conservation efforts, also related to wildlife. So, whenever you come across a topic like this, you have to create a word map and you have to write all the important words that go with environment or wildlife, in especially. For example, when we talk about wildlife, when we talk about plants and animals, we use words like flora. Flora means plants of a region, and fauna. It means animals of a region. Then we use words like endangered, extinct. We use words like poaching, conservation, preservation. So all these words should be written so that it becomes easy for you to learn and remember. These are the words from today's editorial. Now let us go to the editorial. It starts with two words, snap judgment. Snap has many meanings and it can be a verb, a noun, and as a verb, it can be an adjective. Here it has been used as an adjective. So what does it mean? Here the word judgment is a noun. Snap judgment, what does it mean? Done suddenly without allowing time for careful thought or preparation. They brought 12 cheetahs to India from South Africa, and two or three have died. And based on that, some people try to judge. And the editorial opines it is a snap judgment. Means what? Enough time has not been given. Careful thought hasn't been. They haven't thought carefully. Something like this, a project like this, we have to allow some time. Only then we can decide whether it has been a success or a failure. So, snap judgment related to what? On India's Project Cheetah. As I said, this is all about Project Cheetah. And the main idea of the editorial, based on that, the editorial opines a judgment is a snap judgment. Based on that, every birth or death should not be seen as success or failure of Project Cheetah. When they bring a few animals every time, obviously, we may come across birth, we may come across death. Based on every birth or every death, should not be seen, we should not decide, or we should not see that as a success or failure of Project Cheetah. As I would like to reiterate, whatever you see in red, vocab related, and whatever you see in green, grammar related. Here should not be seen. It is in passive voice, and the helping verb is should. It has two meanings, two functions. One, it is used to advise or suggest to someone. That meaning goes with this context. The other one, it is used to express a possibility where the chances are less. And here it is in passive voice. We should not see something active voice. Something should not be seen passive voice. That you have to recollect. Should not be seen as what? Success or failure of Project Cheetah. Now it provides a background information. It is almost 3 months, but here there is a problem. Based on this, the preposition since. There are two prepositions, since, for. Since goes with specific time and for goes with a time period. That you have to recollect. And we use a present perfect, but here surprisingly, I see present tense. But actual sentence, in my opinion, it has almost been 3 months. It has been 3 months. Present perfect, then acceptable. Whatever it is almost 3 months since South Africa sent. After since we can use a word in past, a phrase in past, or a clause in past. Here, South Africa sent a batch of 12 cheetahs to India. That is in past. So here, since South Africa sent a batch of 12 cheetahs to India, and two have already died. It has been 3 months since they sent a batch of 12 cheetahs to India. And unfortunately, two have already died. Here, have already died. It is again in present perfect. Usually, do remember when I talk about rules, I always caution students English has rules, has exceptions. Usually, the words already, lately, recently, yet, they go with present perfect. Based on that, have already died. It is in present perfect. But do remember, exceptions are there. Taken along with the death of one of the 8 cheetahs from Namibia, the 12 cheetahs from South Africa, but in the past, taken along with the death of one of the 8 cheetahs from Namibia. It had a pre existing renal function. A renal function, renal means related to kidneys. It had a pre existing renal function infection, and it emerges that about 15% of the animals have not made it, again present perfect, past the first phase. There are phases. 15% of the animals haven't made it past, means they could not cross the first phase of India's ambitious Project Cheetah. Usually, what happens whenever there's an important project, especially dealing with the wildlife, and you cannot expect all the animals to survive. Some survive, some don't survive. Here it talks about 15% of the animals have not made it past the first phase. This is an important expression. We all know the word past, past the simple word, but actually here it goes with it is used as It goes with a particular pattern. He went past the building means he crossed the building. Here it is the same meaning. They haven't made it past the first phase means they could not cross the first phase. That you have to understand. A typical example, he went past the building means what? He crossed the building while walking. Here they haven't made it means they could not cross present perfect past the first phase. They could not go to the second phase. And ambitious project, an important word, ambitious, having a strong wish to be successful, powerful, or rich. And usually the word ambitious goes with youngsters, ambitious youth. And what is objective? The aim is to establish a sustainable population of about 35 cheetahs in the next decade by bringing in a few every year from Africa. In fact, to provide the background information, cheetah has become extinct. Or if you take our country, once we had in our country on this particular, if you take this particular, in the past we had, now we don't have. They wanted to introduce, based on that, the objective of this particular project, Project Cheetah, establish a sustainable population. Again, the word sustainable means what? It's not upset the environment, it's not upset the other animals. So, sustainable population of about 35 cheetahs in the next decade by bringing in a few every year from Africa. They cannot bring all of them in one shot, one time. So every year a few cheetahs from where? From the African continent. Thus, it is implicit, it is implied. Implicit means suggested but not communicated directly. Thus, it is implicit that there will be many deaths among the animals if one factors in both the natural lifespan of the cat as well as the challenges of adapting to Indian conditions. When we bring cheetahs from Africa to India, obviously, African climate is different, Indian climate is different. African environment is different, Indian environment is different. The flora, the fauna, everything is different. Obviously, they may need some time to get adapted or accustomed to Indian environment. In that process, there could be a few deaths. Thus, it is implicit, that is implied. There will be many deaths, not a few, many deaths among the animals if one factors in. An important expression, factor in means to consider something useful and that may have a result on something. Factor in, consider. Usually it goes with information. Both the natural lifespan of the cat. Usually we consider lions, tigers, cheetahs, leopards, all the jaguars. These are known as big cats. Cat here means big cat, predators, as well as, these are important expression, many exams have given when we try to combine or join two subjects using expressions like, there are 10 plus, but I would like to mention the important ones, along with, as well as, together with, then the verb agrees with the first subject. That rule you have to recollect. Both the natural lifespan of the cat as well as, but there's an error here. I'm really surprised that today I find two errors. One, I told you guys, since fur, we use present perfect. It is 3 months. No, it has been 3 months. That is one error I could find. And here, both, common error, people say both as well as. That is not correct. Both takes a word and this has been given in many exams. Both as well as wrong combination. The correct combination is both and. It's a bit surprising. Both the natural lifespan of the cat and the challenges, I will change it to, and the challenges of adapting to Indian conditions. So, based on that, we can expect many more deaths. Daksha, one of the female cheetahs, died from injuries following a violent mating attempt by two males. Again, not entirely unexpected from what is known about the predator's behavior. Again, when we talk about animals, we use two terms. If you take the animal kingdom, broadly we have three groups. The top we have the predators, then we have the prey, and below we at the bottom we have the scavengers. Scavengers means animals that eat the dead bodies, the corpses. So predators, preys, and scavengers. All these, the big cats, they come under predators. Ordinarily, the success of wildlife breeding programs must be measured over longer intervals. This goes with the main idea. The main idea of the editorial that judgment has been snap judgment, too early to judge. And when it comes to a particular aspect in this context, wildlife breeding, especially captive breeding, must be measured over longer intervals. It has been 3 months and too early to judge. We have to allow enough time. Must be measured over longer intervals, maybe 1 year, 2 years, or 3 years. And to substantiate that statement, the increase in the lion population in Gujarat, as well as here tiger numbers, I am really surprised. The increase, this is a subject, in the lion population in Gujarat, the increase as well as in the lion population again if you take singular, as well as tiger numbers, whenever we use as well as, the verb agrees with the first subject. Based on that, here we cannot use have, it should be has been the result of the increase in the lion population in Gujarat as well as tiger numbers, has been the increase, the first subject has been. What is the reason behind? The result of sustained efforts, continued efforts over decades that have also seen the wildcat count dip to precipitous levels. At one point, the wildcat count dipped. Dip means to go down to precipitous levels, an important word. Dipping means reduction, fast or great. So here, on the one hand, the increase has been the result of sustained efforts over decades, not a decade, decades. Decade means 10 years. Over decades means many years that have also seen the wildcat count dip to precipitous levels, something positive, something negative. Therefore, it is yet premature. The main idea, snap judgment, based on all that, it is yet premature to weigh in on the success of the cheetah translocation program. So we need to wait for some time, maybe a few years or a few decades. Only then we can pass a judgment whether it has been a success or a failure. And what is the project we are talking about, a program we are talking about? Translocation program, bringing cheetahs from the African continent to India. However, the arrival of the cheetahs in India was far from an ordinary event. So this is not a simple event, not an ordinary event, and there's an important expression, far from an ordinary event. That means something special. How is it special? To justify again the statement, for one, the reason. It capped the decades of government planning undertaken since 2009. They have been planning for quite some time. Hearings in the Supreme Court, protracted negotiations, protracted means delayed, extended, with two countries, the complex logistics of choosing and ferrying the animals. It is not easy to transport. So, complex logistics of choosing and ferrying the animals, bringing from Africa to India, the Prime Minister's personal involvement in the enterprise, as well as the significant publicity effort by government departments to promote the endeavor, an important word. Endeavor means an attempt to do something. As India's exemplary commitment, another important word, very good and suitable to be copied by other people or other countries. Exemplary commitment to what? Wildlife conservation. This project deals with conservation, as I said at the outset. In a way, it justifies the complexity. The previous sentence here. However, the arrival of the cheetahs in India was far from an ordinary event. So all these things justify that statement. It is thus only natural that three deaths in 3 months raise consternation. We have seen three deaths in 3 months, and raise in green, an important word. Why is it an important word? There are two verbs which come under confusing verbs. One is raise The other one is rise. Rise, rose, risen. Irregular verb and intransitive verb. Raise, raised, raised. A regular verb and a transitive verb. What is a transitive verb? One can that can take an object. So raise what? Consternation. Raise your hand, raise the standards. Based on that, here we have to use a regular verb and a transitive verb. Nothing wrong. So raise consternation, an important word. What does it mean? A feeling of shock, worry, or confusion. Here worry because of 3 deaths in 3 months, on whether the conservation approach adopted by experts is based on sound principles. So when people came to know 3 deaths in 3 months, they had a doubt. They got worried and they started suspecting that whether it has been based on sound principles. Obviously, it is natural. There is criticism that Kuno National Park is inadequate to host 20 cheetahs. Now, where are they? In Kuno National Park, and it is not adequate enough to host 20 cheetahs, and that some ought to be in other sanctuaries. All the 20 cannot be there, some ought to be in other sanctuaries. This is an important expression, but in Western countries this became outdated. We still use here. There are two helping verbs with the same function, should, ought to. The function of should, ought to, it means to advise or suggest to someone. Formal English in the past ought to, informal English should. You ought to be punctual, you ought to be careful, you ought to do something, you ought to report to someone, formal situation. And you should be careful, you should not waste your time, you should stop smoking, informal. But now formal or informal should is used, this has become rather outdated. Function is the same, ought to be, should be in other sanctuaries, because Kuno National Park cannot accommodate all the 20 cheetahs. The existing batch of animals lived far too long in captivity. Another reason for deaths, the reasons for 3 deaths in 3 months, the editorial provides. One is the National Kuno National Park is not adequate enough. One reason. Second reason, the existing batch of animals lived far too long in captivity. Captivity means you usually it goes with animals. You put an animal in a cage or in a zoo. Then we use the term captivity. So these animals, they have been kept in captivity or held in captivity. Why? What is the reason? In preparation for translocation. Because they were to be translocated, they were kept in captivity for a long time. That is one reason, must have made a negative impact, and thus were excessively stressed. Animals in captivity, they get stressed out, obviously, and more vulnerable, the argument goes. Once they get stressed out, they tend to become more vulnerable. These are the factors for the deaths, possible factors. Project Cheetah managers, however, underline means emphasize that the investments such as in making the landscape adequately stocked with prey, consultations with experts in Namibia and South Africa, with actual experience in managing cheetahs, and cultural traditions that minimize poaching and incentivize local communities to be protective of wild cats are the right ones to help the species flourish. Flourish means exist, to do well. Usually the word flourish goes with business, flourishing business. Some business does well, then we say flourishing business. So, what is the lengthy sentence from here to here? The managers, what do they say? Project Cheetah managers, however, emphasize, underline, emphasize that the investments such as in making the landscape adequately stocked with prey, they must have done it. Consultations with experts in Namibia and South Africa with actual experience in managing cheetahs, and cultural traditions that minimize poaching and incentivize local communities. Incentivize. Local communities try to provide the shelter, try to encourage or try to, they don't try to disturb, then they should be incentivized, incentivize local communities to be protective of wild cats, are the right ones to help the species flourish. All these things help the species flourish. Again, help, you have to recollect the rule. Causative verbs don't take the preposition to. How does the editorial end? Given that the relocation program has been conceived, Conceive has many meanings. Here it means to think of, conceive an idea. He conceived a brilliant idea. Has been conceived, present perfect. Given that the relocation program has been conceived as an experiment, it is important that every death and every birth are not seen as markers of failure or success. The main idea is being reiterated. We cannot look at every birth, every death as a marker of failure or success. It is too early. And based on that, the editorial starts with snap judgment. However, there also ought to be clearly defined criteria. Ought to be, again, there should be clearly defined criteria, an important word, exam point of view. There are some nouns. English has taken words from different languages and different cultures. And if you take nouns from Latin, nouns of Latin or Greek origin, they don't follow this typical S or ES pattern like student, students. They have a different form. Singular form is different, plural form is different. Here it is in the plural form. And you have to recollect all the important words: criterion, singular, criteria, plural, phenomenon, memorandum, alumnus, syllabus, all these words, radius, they've given many a time. Define criteria with timelines that project managers must adhere to. They need to have timelines, and the project managers must adhere to. The helping of must, two functions. One, it is used to express a personal obligation. The other, it is used to mean something is compulsory. Must adhere to, stick to. Usually this goes with rules, regulations. To decide if course correction is warranted. So they have to focus on the timelines, and they must adhere to those timelines, and also to decide if course correction is warranted. Sometimes what happens, you have a project, you have a particular course, and things don't go well. Then obviously the project has to be open and flexible, and there should be scope for correction. So decide if course correction is warranted. We got this yesterday. If the situation demands the course correction, they should be prepared for that. It ends on that particular note. I would like to reiterate, it's an important editorial you may get as a passage in prelims or mains. The reason being, when it comes to socio-cultural problems and environment, an important topic, obviously, there's so many dimensions. Quite often, as a passage, also closed test, you may get either in prelims or mains or descriptive English. They may ask you to write about any of these, any aspect related to environment. So you have to spend some time, learn the lexical terms, understand, develop the contextual awareness, learn the word forms, word combinations. That will help in the long run. Don't stop simply reading the editorial. Try to be a smart learner, and based on the editorial, try to recollect related information, and try to spend some time on getting the contextual awareness, word forms, word combinations, standard phrases and clauses that go with that particular topic. That approach will help in the long run. Let us go to questions based on comprehension skill, based on today's editorial. What is this editorial about? Project Cheetah, you should be able to write. What shouldn't be seen as success or failure of Project Cheetah? Always, many of these questions are based on explicit information. So, how to find the answer? Look at the keywords, navigate, locate, then you get the answer. What is implicit in the context of the editorial? There's only one clue for you. What is that? Implicit, the word. See where it is in the passage or the editorial, and you get the answer. What has been the result of sustained efforts over decades? Sustained efforts, continued efforts over decades, what is the result of that? Why are the existing batch of animals excessively stressed and more vulnerable? You have to provide the reason, and easy to answer based on the keywords. Existing batch of animals, excessively stressed and more vulnerable. Why? And what is the tone of the editorial? It is like analytical on the one hand, on the other hand, it is critical. The editorial opines judgment, giving the judgment that to a snap judgment is not a good thing. We have to allow some time. And after a few decades, we can decide whether the project has been successful or not successful. Now let us go to practice questions based on exam topics. First, we'll start with error location. At the outset, I would like to caution these are also challenging. Today's error location questions are challenging. When I say challenging, you got to read carefully or meticulously, and only then you can spot the error. By hosting such a high profile event, the Indian government hopes to demonstrate its commitment to preserve and promoting Buddhist culture and heritage. You got to be a little careful. It is not, no, 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 you guys did not get it right. Here, it's commitment to preserving. Commitment to. We can use a noun form of the verb. That, see, I have brought this intentionally. Usually, students think after to, the verb should be in the basic form. But there are some expressions adapted to commitment to. And when it comes to commitment to what, you ask a question. Commitment to preserving, commitment to promoting. So here, preserving and promoting, that is parallel expression. You have to correct the third part, not the fourth part. It's commitment to what? You ask the question. This two goes with commitment. These two are one, consider one unit. Then you ask the question, commitment to what? Committed to what? Preserving and promoting Buddhist culture and heritage. So here it is related to parallel expression, one thing, and also the word form. Here we have to use verb ing that is used as a noun, means gerund. Exactly. Addicted to, owing to. There are so many, 10 plus. Here time does not permit, but still you have to recollect. Please go to the next one. No one has got that one right. Not even a single student has written what is the previous one here, preserving. You all touched the second one. While it is a fact that the Maoists have been on the back feet for some time, to dismiss their capabilities to strike at will, especially in their stronghold, would be a mistake. So, where is the error? Commitment to, addicted to, yes. Important examples. Question number 2, you have to read carefully. No one has responded. Perhaps difficult to spot the error. This question is based on an idiomatic expression. No one has responded. We are running out of time. I would like to give the answer. No. Here, while it is a fact that the Maoists have been on the back feet is not correct. On the back foot, that is an idiomatic expression. This question is based on an idiom. What is the idiom here? To be on the back foot. Idioms, we cannot change the words in an idiom. What is the word here? Foot, not feet. On the back foot means to withdraw, to go back and wait for the right time. They have been on the back foot. That is an idiomatic expression. Again, no one has got it right. No problem. Go to the third one. India responded typically by rejecting outright this act of nomenclature aggression on part of the Chinese. This also you got to read carefully. Second question, no one could get it right. First one, no one could get it right. Please go to the third one. India responded typically by rejecting outright this act of nomenclature aggression on part of the Chinese. Nomenclature means a classification. When we talk about animals and plants, we follow an international system that is known as binomial nomenclature. Every plant, every animal has two names, binomial, two names. One is a genus, the other is a species. Nomenclature, classification. So there is an error in the third part. India responded typically, no problem. By rejecting outright, no problem. This act of nomenclature aggression. Aggression is a noun, and before a noun, we have to use an adjective. Nomenclature is a noun, so it is not correct. What is the adjective form of that? Nomenclatural. Nomenclatural. Tural. Nomenclature noun, nomenclatural aggression, adjective. This question is based on, in bank exams, quite often they ask questions based on word forms. No one could get it right. Surprisingly, so far, all the three questions, not even a single student could get right. Nomenclature, noun form, not correct. Right word, wrong form. What is the form we have to use? Adjective form. What is the adjective form of nomenclature, which is a noun? Nomenclatural. Not too much. These are the questions you should expect. These are easy in my opinion. Not difficult, easy. Provided you are exposed to the language. That is the reason why I say read a lot. Get exposed to the language. Then all these questions are easy. Let us go to the fourth one. Taiwan is committed to building. Committed to. See, building. We use a noun. Committed to what? Take a pause. These two, one unit. Committed to. To what? Building. We can use. You're far from today's questions. That's a nice expression. No, no, I've just explained, Dimple. Here, committed to, we have to use a noun, verb ing form used as a noun, that is gerund. Nothing wrong. Committed to reading, committed to building, committed to helping, committed to preserving, committed to maintaining. You have already got in one of the questions. That's why I brought this to check to what extent you remember. Nothing wrong with that. Taiwan is committed to what? Building a more resilient and equitable health service supply chain. No problem. Maintaining at the same time, maintaining and see, committed to building and maintaining. Maintaining what? An inclusive and equitable universal health coverage system. Answer is no error. Who is this? Venkatesan. Venkateshan, two separate words. Venkateshan, you got it right. Tapa got it right, and Padma got it. I know the no 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 no. Anusha got it right. So you have opened your account, and let us go to the last one. PM said that in his meeting with the Israeli foreign minister, they discussed about ways to further deepen bilateral cooperation in priority areas of agriculture, water, innovation, and people-to-people ties. I respect the fifth option. Yes, Rajeshri. No error. Please go to the last one. Let us see how it goes. PM said that in his meeting. Very good. Anusha has got it right. Manoj has got it right. This is what I expect from you. Wonderful. Here we have a verb. What is that? Discuss. After certain verbs, we should not use prepositions. They go with common errors. Discuss, a lot of people say we are discussing about movies. Wrong. We are discussing movies. So, what are the verbs? One is discuss, about, wrong. Order. People say order for. He ordered for coffee. Wrong. And stress on. He stressed on two things. No, he stressed two things. And inform to. He informed to the students. Wrong. He informed the students. So you have to recollect all these. And one more is there, attack. Attack has exceptions. So discuss about, wrong. Order for, wrong. Stress on, wrong. Inform to, wrong. They have given many a time. So looks like you guys could get 2 out of 5. That means today's questions are not easy. Let us go to Para jumble. Return back. Return back is wrong. It is redundancy. Return means to come back. We cannot say return back. That is redundancy. It goes more with a redundancy. And this rule goes with prepositions. After certain verbs, we should not use prepositions. Enter into, very good, Rajeshri. That's right. That is a good one. Enter into. Walk into, right. Run into, right. Jump into, correct. But based on that, we cannot say enter into. That is a wrong combination that I've given in a few exams. Let us take the elimination approach. And cannot be any sentence that has a conjunction begins with a conjunction cannot be the first one. Contrasting word cannot be the first one. Hold the third one, but it doesn't seem to be the main idea. And cannot be. The world economy faces a dangerous road ahead. Hold this one as well. That has dragged, and here demonstrative pronoun cannot be the first one. So faced with the world economy. So obviously it is all about the world economy. What is the first one here? The world economy faces a dangerous road ahead. Then you first ask the question, what is this about? It is about the world economy's problem. What is the problem? It faces a dangerous road ahead. Then the writer has to justify why does it face a dangerous road ahead. Based on that, you have to look for the second one, the sentence that justifies the main idea. Very good. Who is this? Anil Kumar. I appreciate that. Faced with high inflation, central banks around the world have raised interest rates rapidly. So here, central banks, that is a clue for the next one, EC. What are the central banks? And both the Federal Reserve, both and not as well as, the Federal Reserve and the European Central Bank. See, these two are related, a pair. Central banks, what are the central banks? To be very specific, Federal Reserve and the European Central Bank. So what is the third one? A. Are expected to continue to raise rates over coming months. So what is the impact of this, you have to ask. When interest rates raise rates over, what is the impact? Based on that, you should get the fourth one. Raised interest rates rapidly. They are expected to continue to raise rates over coming months. And what is the impact of that? Based on that, the next one should be that has dragged down the housing market. F is the next one. Very good. Impact. That has dragged down the housing market, but the rest of the world economy has stayed resilient to higher rates so far. Resilient, an important word, to withstand. So F is the fourth one after that. But does this only mean interest rates will have to rise further still? One question. And will rising rates eventually bring economic pain? Economic pain, wider concept. So based on that, we have to use B and D, because here but more information and. So and D should be after B. Wonderful. Who has got this? Anusha, first one to get that order. Anyone else? Very good. I appreciate that. Let us go to phrasal verbs. The other day we got fallout, if you guys remember. One meaning, argue with somebody, and another impact of a negative impact of an event, fallout. Fallout of the clashes. I have given the first one, so you have to look at the other fallout. Very good. I know I've seen you're the first one to respond. Anusha, you got it right. That's good. Highly appreciable. Because I'm not giving enough time here. Usually in the exam, you get 2 to 3 minutes. But here I'm asking immediately and you're on your toes to get the correct order. Still you get it. Highly appreciable. One, obviously, D. Argue with somebody. Get along. This goes with brothers, sisters. Do you get along with your brothers? Do you get along with your sisters? So, what does it mean? Get along. Kumar Yadav has got it right. 2A, correct. Tapa. Look after, an easy one. Take care of. Who is this? Padma has got it right. And look up to. Look up to means admire somebody. See. Take after. Resemble someone. You resemble. She takes after her mother means what? She resembles her mother. And you must have noticed all these go with the theme is family. Phrasal verbs based on the theme family. Fall out with, argue with your brother. Get along with your brother. Look after your sister. Look up to your grandfather. Take after your father. Take after your mother. So you can remember based on a theme. Let us go to idioms. Out of the blue means what? Randomly, without warning, or surprisingly. Out of the blue. We can also think of the idiom bolt from the blue. Means sudden, unexpected, usually has a negative connotation. So, what is the answer here? B is the answer. 4C, caught red handed. No, 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 no. 4C is not correct. No, no. How come? Out of the blue means what? B. Randomly without warning, surprisingly. Green with envy means to be very jealous, envious. Green eyed monster, another idiomatic expression. Gray area, something that is unclear, undefined, complicated, vague. A is the answer. Caught red handed, usually it goes with theft, thieves. He was caught red handed. To catch someone in the act of doing something, usually stealing. So, what is the answer? D. And green thumb. Americans use green fingers, British English, green fingers. American English, green thumb. Means what? To be good at gardening. Has anyone got a BEADC? That's good. Kumar Yadav has got it right. All the five. That's wonderful. Highly appreciable. And these are the words from yesterday's editorial. Please go through, write the part of speech. We got these words yesterday. So one day after one day, to what extent your memory is good, you can cross check. Write the part of speech. Undermine, undermined. It's a regular verb. What does it mean? Very good, Sweta. I appreciate that. Yes, Yadav, you got it right, all the five. Please go to the next exercise. Undermine means what? To weaken someone, make someone weak slowly, gradually. Yes, Nirmala has got it right. First one to respond. And spur is also a verb. What does it mean? Because of space constraint, I'm not able to give the complete meaning, but I have already given. Based on that, you should be able to guess. It is a regular verb. Second one also a regular verb, but what does it mean? 2D, speed and eagerness, no. That is not right. Spur means to cause someone to suddenly no, let me see. To make something happen. To make something happen quickly. No, 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 no. To make something happen quickly. E is the answer. Assertive. Assertive nature. Adjective. Firm and confident. You want to get what you want to get. You want to say what you want to say. You don't hesitate. Helm, at the helm. Part of speech, noun. What does it mean? In charge of a company or an organization. In charge of a company or an organization. J is the answer. Galvanize means to cause someone to act suddenly, to cause someone to suddenly act in a particular way. In a way, you can say instigate, incite, provoke. So, answer is here we have to use be and part of speech verb. Compatible. Compatible means without harmoniously, without any problem. Being able to live successfully, harmoniously. Answer is G. Compatible, compatibility noun, compatible adjective. Moot, part of speech verb. To suggest something for discussion. So answer is I. Flag could be a noun, could be a verb, but based on the editorial, it is a verb. Flag means what? To warn or tell people about something that is important or a problem. C is the answer. Alacrity means speed and eagerness. That is a, here you have to use D and part of speech noun. Douse, part of speech verb. Make someone or something wet. What are you left with? Make something wet or someone wet using water, liquid, kerosene, any of these. So answer is F. Has anyone got all the words correct? All the 10 correct? Then it is appreciable. And the last slide, word of the day, snap. The reason for bringing this word as word of the day, it can be a verb, it can be a noun, it can be an adjective. So here adjective, third one. Snap verb. As a verb, what does it mean? To cause something that is thin to break suddenly and quickly with a cracking sound. Usually it goes with thin rods, branches. The branch of one of the branches of the tree snapped, break suddenly and quickly with a cracking sound. That's a typical meaning. Snap has many meanings. Example, some vandals, vandalization, vandalism, damaging public property. Some vandals means those people snapped off my car aerial again. It's a regular verb. Snap noun, a sudden loud sound like something breaking or closing. Snap also means a photograph, nice snap, nice picture. But here different meaning I have brought. She broke the stick over her knee with a loud snap. Loud adjective, snap noun. Snap as adjective, done suddenly without allowing time for careful thought or preparation, based on the editorial. Snap judgment. He always makes snap decisions. Noun, adjective. Snap judgment. Judgment noun, snap adjective. And what are the synonyms? Break, split, crack. And antonyms, elasticity. If it is not elastic, it will break. Elastic, it doesn't break. Snapchat. Yes, there are so many meanings, and that's the reason why I have brought. That's all for today. Hope you guys have got enriched. Have a nice day. Do remember to subscribe and share. And after the video, after the session, go to the description of the video. Try to join the Telegram group and you can receive the notifications. You cannot interact, mind you. And also, after the session, I'll provide the PDF. I'll provide the link and you can access the PDF.